morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning and a warm welcome once again on Galaxy Universal Network, channel 500 on Stassett, and this is Pan-African Morning.
Hi, Sudi Melang. This is still Pan-African Morning News right here on Galaxy Universal Network. And of course, we are fearless, zero favor and zero fiction.
Warm welcome to Galaxy Universal Network, channel 500 on Stassett.
Catch the Pan-African Morning Queens, Sasanda Kwabikuto and Palesa Muchiminyani.
What is your take in the stance of the Palestine? As we can see that South Africa is quite very great friends of the Palestine, and Nelson Mandela has been quite very vocal when it comes to Palestine. But we can see that every day Palestine is still under attack until today.
No, I think we must all be very sensitive to also to national and international developments. The birth of the Palestinian state was a matter that was negotiated between the Israelis and the Palestinians. That agreement was reached independent of everybody else. It was reached between Yasser Arafat and his counterpart in the Israeli case. And they adopted the agreement and all of that. And the present arrangement between Palestine and Israel is one that was negotiated by the two sides. It was not imposed by anybody from outside. They went to elections. In the case of Palestine, the Palestinians voted for that leadership, and Israel on the other. Even the United Nations accepted the Oslo agreements and therefore endorsed that. Now we know, if you go to the West Bank, the Palestinian flag is there. If you go to Israel, is the Jewish flag that is there. But even if you go to Israel, you will find the Palestinians living there. In the parliament of Israel is sitting representatives of the Jews who live and who are citizens of Israel. Similarly, the other side. Now, this issue did arise even when President Mandela was still alive. And having discussed the matter, we made the following observations: that we ourselves are members of the United Nations organization.
Yes.
South Africa, therefore, is also bound by the arrangements and the agreements of the United Nations. And President Mandela then said, look, we ourselves negotiated with the National Party, we negotiated with the people of our country. Our constitution is a result of our own negotiations.
Yes.
And nobody can come and interfere with us here. Similarly, the Palestinians and the Israelis negotiated that their agreement is born of their own negotiations. We must all respect that, and even the United Nations respect that. Now that we are members of the United Nations, we are also bound by the protocols and the decisions of the United Nations. We cannot take this side against the other one. And therefore, if you go to Pretoria, from when President Mandela was still president,
yes,
we have got an embassy of Palestine there, and we've got an embassy of Israel. Now, if you go to the United Nations, the flags of Palestine and Israel are also flying there. So we are consistent with that which we have done with our country, and we are consistent with our commitments to the United Nations of the world. So we are completely confident about this. Now that's another thing. Then you see now that this ANC is no longer the ANC.
What is it?
I mean, here they are now saying that now, although South Africa is still a member of the United Nations, now they want to say, no, we don't want to recognize this one, we want to recognize that one. But at the United Nations, they are sitting under the flags of the two sides.
But now, what do you think could be done at this moment?
No.
Because the people of the Palestine, they are still enduring most of the pain that South Africans were feeling during the times of apartheid. I'm talking about now in July, the way invasions. I'm talking about the Israelis coming into Palestinians' house and say, come out, it's now my house. So how do you want maybe South Africans to take maybe a mutual stand on this while other people's rights are literally just being infringed in front of our eyes?
No, what we need to do, the United Nations is committed to peaceful means. Surely Israel is wrong, but the matter must be taken to the United Nations. It must be discussed there. You can't solve it by force. And even the Israelis need to be told there at the United Nations, you negotiate a settlement here with your counterparts. Stick to the peaceful resolution of these problems. The United Nations is committed to a resolution of its problems by peaceful means.
But don't you think that maybe if they put pressure on the Israelis, it could be one thing that can make them to now want to be in negotiations? Because negotiations were happening since back in 1948 when they decided that, okay, we're going to split and we're going to have this land belonging to the Israelis and we're going to have the West Bank. But since then, there has been constant negotiations, and slowly but surely the Israelis are continuing to occupy the Palestinian side. So maybe the pressure might assist, don't you think?
Yes, but the matter must go to the United Nations. It's Trump. It's one country out of all the nations of the United Nations. Trump who decided, and there's something wrong, I think, here.
On Trump?
Definitely. How can you adopt a resolution with the United Nations of the world, and now you go out alone to go and mess up as what he has? We need the thing to return to the negotiation table, and the nations of the world must say to Trump or to the United States, get rid of this fellow. He's destroying the peace of the world with this thing. But don't fall into the same trap. That's what he's doing. Don't do that.
No. Having said that, we are going to take a very, very short break before we close our show. Of course, we are left with just a couple of minutes before the end of today's program. Please do continue to stay with us.